All right, so both of you guys were able to really harness the power of the Jet prototype deck and have a really great ladder season. Do you have any reservations playing this OCC now that it is most likely no longer your German deck? And are you personally glad to see the changes to the card? Berto, if you would like to start.
All right. Well, I think that Jet prototype definitely needed a change, and I'm not surprised or sad to see it uh, go, or at least be significantly weaker. But I would say that it would have been nice to have one tournament to play it just for fun. But but I know that the health of ladder is more important than my just getting one game in with it in a tournament. I wouldn't say I'm too worried about not having it available to me though, because I mean by the end of the month I think most people were able to play the deck pretty well in terms of like the tournament regulars. At the moment, I have a few decks that I'm comfortable on, and I'm not like, oh, I need a third deck, and there's nothing that feels good. I have a few decks that I think are pretty decent, and I'm content with that.
What about you, Bubbles? Are you just a little bit twisted and thinking also that you might like a Jet tournament? I'm calling that a little bit twisted.
I don't know. I'm okay with these things. I'm a very much see how it goes kind of guy. So it's like, yeah, I got the season placement with Jets, and that's great. But let's be honest, it doesn't matter what decks I'm bringing. I'm getting O2'd in the first round. I'm getting knocked out of this instantly. My last two, for those newcomers, they might think of me as only a caster. I used to play. And my last two placements, I think, I got O2'd by the same person. I forgot who it was. Two tournaments in a row. I don't think they're in this one, so I might be safe. But I have a reputation to uphold here. I think I currently own the record for the quickest person out of the tournament, and I'd like to set a new record if possible. So for me, Jets are gone, but it is what it is. I'm gonna take what I think might work and see how that goes.
I like how you said used to be a player while you are currently qualified for a tournament. Still referring to it as used to. So, Bubbles, let's start with you for this second question. You even mentioned people thinking about you as a caster. Do you think that casting high-level games has improved your play? And if so, how? And then also, if that is true, like, do you sort of think that like watching film is like as applicable to success as it is in like maybe sports or like other games?
So, in terms of has it improved me as an individual player, I've definitely improved. But have I improved at the same rate as other competitors in the community? I don't think so. I think when you're casting, you generally don't keep up with the top end of ladder quite as much as competitors might, so you don't get the same number of reps in. I think most casters aren't playing 500 games a month or whatever in grinding field marshal, so I think you fall behind in terms of practice and reps in these decks. But it does allow you to stay, I think, in touch with the higher end of things. It allows you to understand the more complex sides of these matchups without necessarily having to put in as much work as everyone else. So I think you get a lot more for a lot less than people that put in the same amount of work as you. But I think there's a much lower cap on it. I think these players that play every month, they have so much more room to work with, whereas for a caster, you might get this information very easily and very quickly, but there's a pretty quick hard limit on it until you have to convert into playing to keep up with everyone else.
All right, Berto, same question to you. How do you feel that like casting has impacted your play? Do you feel it's been beneficial?
Well, I feel like when I'm in the process of casting, my IQ drops by a good 50 points, and you like miss like the what feels like the most obvious things when you're playing. But I'd say there's probably been a few moments where casting has helped me out, whether it's, seeing somebody go for an unorthodox line that works out. Just being in a position where you're not, super stressed about what is going on in the current moment. It can be nice to be a little more analytical and not without the time pressure of my turn is going to end. I need to make a decision. It's like I can think about those two different decisions, and after the turn's done, I can think, well, how would have this game gone? If you made the other line, or stuff like that.
I just want to add, because I realized we both only answered half your question. In terms of film and going over watching other people play, I think it's very applicable. I think most esports do it. If you look at those, most people in most games who want to improve, or sports or esports, whatever, they all watch each other play. And I used to play a lot of MOBAs, and it was really common practice when you found a good player, you would go and watch their replays because you'd want to know what they're doing and how they're doing it. I think we're limited in cards because of the lack of public API, the lack of, there's no real API, there's no real tools to do this. All we have are these monthly tournaments, which, they're beneficial, but they're limited in sort of sample size. I can't watch 12 hours of OCC gameplay once a week if I wanted to, because there's just not enough footage to do so. But I do think if the tools ever become available, then I don't know if you agree or not, Berto, but I think for terms of peak understanding of what's going on in cards, watching other players play or yourself play and seeing what you did wrong are both they're both tools. They're both useful tools. Maybe not for everyone, but they're certainly strong to utilize when you can.
Yeah, particularly when I was starting out in tournament, I would always go over my OCC games again and watch from a spectator's point of view to reanalyze everything, see if there was anything I missed, or is my opponent playing in a way where I could have predicted they might have had this card? Did they not give any tells and I made the right decision anyways, even if I got punished by something?
It's interesting because when Berto started out, I also went back and tried to spot all of Berto's mistakes.
Couldn't find any. Still looking.
I lost count. Ran out of paper.
So then that kind of leads into our third question, our final question here, Berto. How different is your thought process between ladder and tournament, sort of both in preparation and play? I guess preparation, maybe not so much. You don't necessarily prepare for your ladder session, right? You're not doing yoga while you have like a tea getting ready. But like sort of how those, differ in your head or your mindset.
Well, I would argue that there is some preparation with ladder, in terms of your mindset in, getting ready to lose 3 in a row right away and being okay with that because you have enough confidence in yourself that you're able to make back those points and then some more, and trying to end the day further ahead than you started. In tournament, you lose your first 2 games, well, then you're just sitting on the bench watching the tournament go on. Well, not
We've
much
all been
fun.
there.
But yeah, it's I don't really know what to do in that spot once you get kicked out of a tourney in terms of preparation, but I just try to say, like, I prepared the best I could, and, if things went a little bit different, I could have had a shot, but they didn't. That's the nature of card games, and just gotta hope for better success in the next tournament.
How about you, Bubbles?
I don't know. Prepping is an interesting thing because, I find there's an appropriate amount of prep, and I find there's such a thing as too much prep. On the one hand, when you put in a certain amount of prep, you've got your you're most confident, and then you keep doing it, you keep prepping, and you start second guessing yourself, and you start questioning everything, which I think I've done. I think I was 100% confident, and then I was like 30% confident, and then I went back up to 100%. Now I'm back down at like 20%. I'm just like going up and down because I'm over prepping. But then the other thing, he's about to start getting real loud. He's going to get real loud in a moment. The other thing is, I'll try and make this quick. The more you prepare, the worse you feel when you lose, and then the more difficult it is to get back up and go on ladder and try again next month. Next question.
That's why I haven't prepped at all so far for this tournament. The only thing I played last month was Jet, and then I haven't really played any this month. But
can't over prep if you don't prep at all.
Exactly. I have done lots of prep for other tournaments, and it can be helpful. But it sometimes there's just a big difference in how much time it takes you to feel comfortable on certain decks, or comfortable which decks you want to bring. Because I've prepped for weeks straight and not been comfortable with my deck selection when I submit it. But there's also been times where I have just felt like the first 3 decks I think to bring, I play them a little bit, and then I feel like, great, all these decks feel good. I don't see why I'd, sort of muddy the waters by, taking something unexpected, when sometimes, what you expect to be good just feels good.
Yeah, I definitely have been. I've definitely had a situation where the lineup that I brought, that I was the absolute least comfortable I had been with that lineup in any of my tournaments, was one of my most successful, and vice versa. So I definitely understand. That's it. Thanks, guys. No big formal goodbye. There's a good chance that so the goal is sort of to cut it up and make bumper material out of it for the tournament. That's why it's green screened. If they don't want to use it, we'll probably make it into YouTube shorts for Team Heavy, and or just the whole video for Team Heavy.
Do you want a moment of the bird on camera, or are you not fast?
No, yeah,
I don't
go
know
for
if it's
it.
usable for anything.
Sure, it's usable for me just seeing how nice the bird is. Burb. Muted bubbles.
There you go.
Yeah, no, that's perfect. I will try to cut out the bird and maybe put Mimi bird pictures over the bird, over the... That's good stuff. All right.
What's that?